Hi, and welcome to Trex Academy, where you can learn everything you need to know about building your deck project. I'm Devin, and I'm here with Lindsay, and in this video, you'll learn how to install Trex Enhanced railing.
Let's get started.
All right, let's do it. Okay, so the first thing that we're gonna do in installing our railing is gonna be to install our post skirt and then our post sleeve.
All right.
Okay, so I'll take care of this one. You wanna tackle that one in the corner?
Can do.
All right. Go ahead and slide that in position.
Okay. Now, is there a reason that we're putting the post skirt on first?
Yeah, so the main reason you want to do this first is going to be that if you were to bring in your skirt after the post, there's a good chance that you could mar or scrape up the outside of that post sleeve.
Gotcha.
I think it's also important to note that these post sleeves come in a length of 48 inches, and then we just cut that down to just above that post height.
Yep.
So with those in place, now we can take a look at what's inside of our railing kit.
All right, sounds good.
Okay, so we have all of our balusters, our top and bottom rail. We also have our hardware pack we're going to need for this installation, and an adjustable foot block. It's also cool to note that there is an installation guide, so always helpful if you have a couple questions.
Definitely.
Should be able to help you out. So we have some blocks ripped down, so we're going to be starting with our bottom rail first.
Okay.
Let's go ahead and put these in position. We'll just be spacing these out, something like that. So these blocks are ripped down to a specific height, and that's 3 3/4 inches.
Okay.
So the reason this is important is that as we bring in this bottom rail, set it just like that, this is going to preset the height for the top.
Okay.
Because we have our bottom rail, balusters, then once we install that top rail, that'll make sure that our top rail height is at 36 inches. Really important.
I'm guessing the 36 inches is code?
Exactly, yep. It all comes back to code, but it is really important, so don't skip that step. So with this in position, the next thing we'll do, we just want to double check that gap between our post sleeve and that first baluster.
Okay.
We want to make sure that that's centered between both of them. So what I'll do is I'll start measuring this side. I'll have you do the same thing over there, and we want to get that measurement equal.
Sounds good.
Okay, I'm right at about 1.5 inches.
I've got about 1 3/4 here.
3/4?
Yeah.
Okay. We'll just slide that over about 1/8 of an inch.
All right.
Here we go, 1 5/8.
Yeah, same.
All right, perfect.
Great.
Okay, so with that centered up, we're now ready to mark that, and then we can cut it. But because we know that our posts are plumb, this mark also allows us to cut our top rail at the same time. We'll just line those baluster holes up, and then we can cut them all. Let's go ahead and make that mark.
Sounds good.
We'll be ready to make our cuts. Okay. All right, you grab that one, and I'll get our top rail. Okay, so we've just cut our top and bottom rail to length, but we've also pre-drilled a 3/16 inch hole right in the middle of the bottom of that bottom rail. And that's going to be for our foot block, which we'll be installing in just a little bit.
Cool.
So with this bottom rail already upside down, this is the perfect time to start installing the hardware that was included in that hardware kit.
Okay.
I'm going to go ahead and give you that. So to attach that hardware to the bottom of our bottom rail, we're going to be using these 1-inch self-drilling screws. So I'll give you 3 of these.
Okay.
And these are all included in the kit. So what we're going to do is just go ahead and slide this to the end of that bottom rail, just like that.
All right.
Want to make sure you center that up. Make sure that you're also flush with the end.
Great. Okay. I should be good then.
Good?
Yep.
Okay. Let's go ahead and get them installed. Okay, let's flip this bottom rail back over.
Okay.
There we go. Let's go ahead and get it roughly center in between our post sleeve there.
All right.
All right,
Good down
perfect.
here.
So just hold that right in position, and I'm going to move this block out of my way because I'm going to need that space here in just a moment.
Okay.
So we do want to make sure that our bottom rail is centered to the post sleeve. To do that, we'll just pull out the tape and make sure that we have an equal measurement on each side of the rail.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm looking at about 1.25 inches, and I'm 1 1/8 inches. So just a 1/16 off, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
Just gonna bump that over. But now it's great because we know every time that we want to center these, if we measure from the outside of that post sleeve to the outside of our rail, we should be at 1 3/16 inches.
Got it.
Just like that.
Great.
All right, so now I'm gonna have you put some downward pressure on this so it won't move around.
Okay.
And now I'm gonna connect that bracket through the post sleeve and into the post using the included 2-inch wood screws.
Sounds good.
All right. So we just repeated the process to attach our brackets to the underside of that top rail.
Yep.
Okay, so one more quick note before we move on. You do need to make sure that the space between the outside of that post sleeve and that first baluster is greater than 1.5 inches. If you don't, you won't be able to properly install our bracket to the underside of that top rail.
That is definitely an important note.
Absolutely. Okay, so let's go ahead and move on to installing the balusters.
Sounds good.
Just gonna go ahead and give you a handful of these.
All right.
Just have you start on this side, I'll start on the other. We can just meet in the middle.
Now I know you already mentioned that the bracket goes on the underside of the top rail.
Yep.
But just a quick note that the bracket goes on, just to kind of differentiate, get your orientation.
Sure.
The bracket goes on the side opposite of the baluster holes on the bottom rail, and the
Right.
same side as the baluster
Oh
holes.
yeah,
on
that's
the
a good
top.
point. Orientation is really important. You do not want to do this twice, and you don't want to waste this material.
Definitely not.
Okay. All right, with these in place, we can finally install that top rail.
Great.
Let's bring this in. We're just going to start at a bit of an angle.
All right.
Here we go, just working them in one at a time. And then once we get a few in, I'm going to have you stay on this side, just keeping that downward force, and I'm going to work towards the end.
Great, and that'll just make sure these don't pop back out.
Yeah, perfect. Looks like we've got a bit of a hitch right here. I think it's this one right here. There we go. Every once in a while it helps to give it a little bump.
Yep.
Okay, it's this one right here. There we go.
Awesome.
There, much smoother now. Nice. It's usually how it is. Once you get moving, it gets really easy.
Yeah, I mean, aside from a bump or two, it's
Pretty simple,
pretty
right?
straightforward, yeah.
Yeah. There we go.
Definitely
Almost
nice
all the
if you
way.
have another person to help you.
Yeah, it makes it a lot easier for sure. But still not impossible to do alone. There we go.
All right.
All right, let's get it roughly center
Okay.
between our posts. Just like that. Okay, but we're doing the same process as before. We're just gonna measure both sides, make sure that it's pretty close to equal.
Okay.
Okay, 7/8 there. And 7/8 on the other side.
Spot on.
Perfect. Okay, so from here we're just gonna do the same process. We're gonna be using those 2-inch wood screws to go
Okay.
through the bracket, through the post sleeve, and into that post behind it to make sure it's all secure together.
Sounds good.
So I'm gonna do this side first, then we'll make sure this side is center, and then we'll attach it all together.
All right.
So we have our top rail installed, but now we're gonna be moving back down to the bottom so we can install that foot block. Okay, so if you remember, we pre-drilled that 3/16 inch hole, and that's because it would be really hard to make that hole at this point. So with that hole already made, we'll just bring this foot block in, and you can see it has a nub right there at the top. We just wanna line that up with the hole. Make sure you push that up tight, just like that. There we go. Okay, so with that in position, we'll just move the skirt up, and now you can see we have an adjustable screw at the bottom. And if we just screw this out, we wanna go into the point that it's tight with the top. And now you can see that this is gonna be fully supported here at the middle of our rail. There we go. All right, with that in position, Lindsay, I'm just gonna have you put a fastener in here, and that's gonna tie that into the top of our deck board.
Sounds good.
Okay, so the last thing we need to do to finish up this section of railing is gonna be to install those post caps.
Yep.
All right, there we go, perfect.
set.
So this section of railing is done, and from here we're just gonna repeat that same process for every section throughout the deck. So if you'd like to see more videos covering the entire deck building process, you can go to trex.com/academy. Thanks for watching.